You're listening to the Boss Yourself First podcast, Season 3, Episode 5. What if the things that are grabbing your attention haven't actually earned your energy? Let's sort that out. Hey there, welcome back to Boss Yourself First, the podcast where we explore how to lead from the inside out. Now, if you've been with me during this season of permission, you've already heard me talk about the guiding structure of my book, 3 Permissions. That personal growth and self-leadership come when we exercise the permission principles of approach, adjust, and act. I should have given you a pop quiz. Maybe next episode. Today, though, we're going to leverage those principles to give ourselves a new kind of permission. Something deceptively simple, but absolutely essential. And that is permission to sort. This has been a lot on my mind lately because, let me explain. Maybe you're like me, you've had a lot of experience with sorting in the physical world. So I'm in a sandwich season, meaning I still have some of my grown children's things, and I've inherited artifacts of my parents' lives. And then, of course, my own collections and memories. Includes, yes, teacups. Many, many teacups. It was something my mom and I both loved. After Mom passed away, sorting became a big part of our world. We sorted my parents' 15 by 40 storage unit down to a 10 by 20. And Mike and I already had our own 8 by 10. But I'm pleased that after 2.5 years, we have finally combined it all into a 10 by 15 unit. So all of it's together. And I know that some of my minimalist friends are thinking, that's still too much stuff. And they're not wrong. But hey, I'm going to celebrate the progress. But here's the truth. I am not a natural sorter, in case you hadn't gathered that. It's not effortless for me, but I do it because it creates space, clarity, breathing room, and those gains last longer than the effort it takes to make them. So I'm not asking you to clean out your garage today, but I am inviting you to do a little mental sorting, to notice what's taking up space in your head and your heart, to sort what's got your attention, to sort what's consuming your energy, to sort what actually deserves your focus and what doesn't. What deserves to be here? That's what we're asking. Because when we don't sort, we overload. And when we overload, we leak energy. We lose clarity. And we struggle to lead ourselves and others. So in today's episode, we're going to use the 3 permission principles, approach, adjust, and act. I'm just going to keep saying it, so you'll pass the quiz whenever it happens. To sort what's got your attention, to reclaim your focus, and to steward your energy more wisely. And we're even going to throw a little neuroscience in there, because the truth is not everything that's loud in your life is worthy of your leadership. So let's dive in. I want to start with a question. Have you ever felt like your brain was a browser with 37 tabs open and somehow none of them were loading? This is not an infrequent experience for me, on my computer and in my brain, to be honest. We're not alone in this. So let me start with a familiar moment. Maybe you've had one like this. A client of mine came in to a session just completely overwhelmed. A lot of times I'm asking my clients to come in with an idea of what they want to work on. But I always say, if you don't know, come anyway, because sometimes you just need to clear. Either way, we will find something that will eventually pull your attention forward, and that will be what we work on that day. But this client came in completely overwhelmed. Work was chaos, family tensions, schools were calling. It was stressful. And then, well, the news wasn't helping either. And she just said, I feel like I'm carrying everything. It feels like it's all on me. And so I paused for a minute and said, well, everything like what? And then she paused. And that was the beginning of approach. When we give ourselves space to notice, what exactly has our attention? Then we start stepping into self-leadership. So we need to name it. If we don't name it, we can't sort it. That was a big part of the sorting job we did in my parents' unit. We had no idea what was in there. And so we started out with big categories, and then we'd whittle those down, and then they'd become finer categories. So that's what we're doing here. We're naming it so that we can sort it. Because when we don't sort it, everything just feels urgent and personal and ours. And the truth is, not everything that tugs at your attention deserves your energy. This is the sorting part. That moment, that pause, that's where the principles of approach begin. And in that moment, We stop swirling and we start noticing because we can't sort what we haven't named. Have I said that enough times? Your brain also is begging you to name things, to simplify things. Our minds were never meant to juggle everything at once. Someone once said, if you focus on everything, you focus on nothing. So we're going to correct that. We're going to make sure that's not what's happening here. And science is showing us why that matters. In 2024, a study was published in eNeuro, and it confirms what I think many of us already suspect, that we're under constant mental load. I would even go as far as to say that we're undergoing constant and increasing mental load, trying to hold too many unorganized thoughts or worries at one time. Our brains get fatigued. Our neural pathways actually begin to slow. That's what this study said. And performance drops, and even simple decisions feel overwhelming. This isn't just a mental clutter problem, it's a neurobiological reality. Your brain literally exhausts itself when it tries to manage what it can't hold. But there's another layer. And this one speaks to our emotional bandwidth. In a study on emotional interference and cognitive efficiency, researchers found that strong emotions, especially when they're unacknowledged or unresolved, actually divert mental resources away from attention and memory and decision-making. In other words, emotional overwhelm isn't just something you feel, it's something that impairs your brain's ability to lead. So when we approach what's actually happening inside of us, we slow down and we ask, what's taking up space in my head right now? What am I carrying that I haven't named? This is not just venting. We are clearing mental and emotional bandwidth. We are making space for clarity to return. In 3 permissions, I share what I call the bucket approach. It's a framework of sorting your mental and emotional attention into 3 buckets. Control, what's fully mine to manage, thoughts, routines, responses, choices. Influence, what can I impact but not fully control? Relationships, team dynamics, culture, my kids. And the other bucket, what I can't control or influence. So think the news or another person's behavior or responses or how the market moves. Here's where permission to adjust comes in. Once you've named what you're carrying, you get to decide where it belongs and how much of your energy it gets. Remember, this is about sorting and stewarding. So let's talk about what happens in your brain when you don't adjust. Studies show that your frontoparietal control network, say that 3 times fast, the part of your brain responsible for planning, prioritizing, and focusing, starts to shut down when it's overloaded, especially by worries or thoughts outside of your control. Another study on directed attention fatigue found that when we constantly suppress distractions or push through overwhelm, our inhibitory control weakens. That means we get more reactive, less focused, and emotionally depleted. Sound familiar to anyone but me? I hope someone else out there is raising their hand. But if you felt foggy or scattered or stuck lately, that's not a flaw in your character. It's your brain waving a flag. Sorting is how we restore clarity. Adjusting is how we decide what gets to stay on our dashboard. And here's one of my favorite truths from this whole episode. Giving something a bucket doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've decided how to care wisely. That's the stewardship piece, my friends. So you've named it and sorted it. You're ready to act. Here's the guidance I offer my clients and honestly remind myself of pretty much weekly. Spend most of your energy in the control bucket. Spend some of your energy in the influence bucket. Offer awareness only to the other bucket, and sometimes not even that. Come on, sometimes you just got to take a news fast. All right, why? Because that's where your brain is built to thrive. When we sort and we decide and direct our brain, that's where it's most efficient. That's when you get into flow state. That's when you create impact. So a 2024 study on cognitive switching, that's where you're going from one thing to another. Sometimes we call it multitasking, but it's actually cognitive switching where you're changing contexts from one thing to another. The study confirmed that multitasking and attention splitting rapidly depleted mental energy and decreased accuracy in decision-making. I'm going to say that again, maybe a little differently. Constant cognitive switching depletes our mental energy and actually creates less efficient, and less accurate decision making. So if you're struggling with making decisions, check how often you're cognitive switching. When you sort and focus, you preserve what neuroscientists call effort clarity. And that's the ability to take meaningful action with less mental waste. Our brains love efficiency. So here's how I describe it to my clients. Don't only water someone else's lawn and wonder why yours is brown and crispy. When you act from the control bucket, you're not just being efficient, you're being effective. You don't have to tackle everything, my friends, but only you can choose where your energy goes. That's stewardship, and that's self-leadership. Let's move into the application part of this podcast. Let's get practical. This week, I'm inviting you to take 10 minutes to check in with your brain. I know it feels like something you do regularly, but I want this to be a special check-in. You can do this in your journal. You can do it on your phone, out loud in your car, whatever works for you. I want you to ask, what's weighing me down right now and what's got my attention? 2 questions. What's weighing me down? What's got my attention? Write it down or call it out, however you're approaching this, but no editing. There's not a wrong answer here. You're really just taking stock. Then I want you to sort it into one of the 3 buckets. No judgment here. Just gently asking, what's mine to manage? Those go in the control bucket. What's mine to influence? Those go in the influence bucket. What's not mine to carry? This is your other bucket. Once you sort, go ahead and give your brain a quick refresh. You just asked a lot of it, and now you need to give back. This is supported again by that neuroscience. You know I do love to research these things. But a study published in Nature in 2024 showed that just even 60 seconds of quiet reflection, or actually what I prefer, nature exposure. So just step outside, take a deep breath and stretch. But 60 seconds of that can restore clarity, that executive function particularly, after sorting or planning. And maybe sorting or planning lights you up. To me, it's hard. So that takes a little more of my brain energy, and I might need a little more than 60 seconds. But the study says 60 seconds gives benefit. So there you go. This is not about letting go of everything hard, because there's some hard things in your control bucket. It is about being clear about what actually is yours and choosing to lead yourself from that clarity, because clarity creates calm. And naming what's in your bucket lets you take action where it counts and let go where it doesn't. Clarity leads to presence, and presence, my friends, is where your power lives. If you get nothing else out of this episode today, here's what I want you to take. You are allowed to sort what's taking up space in your mind. You are allowed to say, this isn't mine to carry. And you are absolutely allowed to steward your energy, not based on urgency, but based on ownership. Permission to sort is permission to stop spiraling. And permission to steward, that's how we sustain self-leadership. So if this episode hits home, please share it with someone who needs the reminder that their attention is valuable and their energy is not infinite. Or maybe that person is you. Send me a note. I would love to hear what you've discovered as you've reflected. You can DM me on Instagram at bossyourselffirst, or you can email me at robyn@bossyourselffirst.com. I read every message because you are important to me. And just in case you forgot, I'm not sure how you could, because I'm pretty sure it's been in an ad on this episode. My new book, 3 Permissions, goes on sale July 29th on Amazon and other online booksellers. And if you haven't, I would love for you to join my community on my email list. There's a link for that in the show notes. All right, my friends, next week, we are going to talk about a permission that many of us, dare I say most of us, try to avoid, and that is permission to fail. It's going to be a good one. Real, hopefully liberating. But until then, keep bossing yourself first. Take care, everyone.